Welcome back to another episode of A Candor Gander. Did I take a week hiatus? Yes, I did. Am I coming back better and stronger? I hope so. This very cool episode. We've got the man, the myth, the dreamer here with us. We've got Kupo and special co-host with us, Mr. Raph himself. Do we have some tough questions? Maybe. Will we get them all answered? You bet you we will. Will we talk about pants? Maybe pants are important. Let's see what we learn and don't learn. I hope, hopefully, this is as fun for you as this has been fun for me to put together. Welcome back, everybody. We're gonna have to here. This is gonna take care of that. There we go. See, there's some settings I need to adjust. We've got Koopa, we've got Raph, we've got Dreamer, and I've got some PSAs before we get started. I've got some pretty awesome giveaways here, and some general PSAs. Let's go ahead and just let's do these PSAs real quick, and we'll get to some questions and introductions. If you all recall a couple episodes ago, so I've had some pretty awesome guests on the show lately. We had Class U Games on, I think, last before this, and we had Icy before then, big time Web3 creators. When I spoke with Icy, he had promised us a pretty awesome giveaway. If anyone's interested, we'll do a giveaway here at the end. It's for a game that's coming out. Shrapnel, I believe, is the name of the game, or the way you pronounce it. It's a first moddable extraction shooter game. So it's a first-person shooter game, and I believe with the light pack is going to be doing, so the giveaway is going to allow you early access to the game. If you're interested, this is what that game looks like. All right, more of that here at the end giveaway. We've got some other DFK specific PSAs. No, not that one. Although, hey, everyone's coming out with some pretty awesome merch. This is not a bad one. Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. Mr. Kirikua is doing an awesome giveaway. He's Mr. Giveaway here November 1st, it looks like. For more details, I'll go ahead and uh, drop his link here in the comments section. Be sure to follow along and sort of read up on some of the specifics here. But what better day to remember our fallen, lost, heroes who've fallen to the pit of despair than Day of the Dead. We've got a tournament, Mr. Raph. You're putting this together. It's Adventures Arcade Halloween leaderboard. Can you tell us a bit about that while I post sort of your tweet here on in the comment section?
Yeah, I'd love to. This is our third release of a dungeon for our third-party developed game that leverages the TFK assets. And so you can go explore Count Corbin's dungeon and see if you can get on the leaderboard. This is a little different than the last dungeons where you could take 3 heroes at a time. In this one, you can only take one. And so we're really leaning into the Halloween scary elements with the art we've developed and just kind of the overall vibe that we're going for with this. So hopefully you guys have a chance to check this out. And a big thanks to the DFK team proper for hooking us up with some awesome rewards, including gourds and stones and crystals. So big thanks.
Super awesome. We have, I see Christian Peter here in the chat box. Nothing like shilling myself too. We have an awesome meetup taking place here in San Diego, Saturday, November 18th, at Draft Republic. Beers, burgers, Bolon, yes, Bolon's flying in. He's gonna come hang out with us. So, if you're in the area, come hang out. Enjoy. Enjoy DFK company. And then last but not least, Kupo, thanks for tweeting this out. I thought it would be appropriate with Mr. Dreamer himself here today. Just a PSA. There is a fake dreamer on Twitter. Beware. Kupo, can you tell us a bit more of this? Because I think if you weren't the first one, you were one of the first ones who spotted this and certainly brought it up to our attention.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bolin actually brought that up in chat at the same exact time that the fake Dreamer decided to send me a friend's request. I'm like, Dreamer's already on my friends list. What's going on here? You definitely notice a couple points with the fake Dreamer. First off, our Dreamer is the official Dreamer with the blue logo, so he actually is verified. The other guy is not. The other guy has himself an underscore at the end of his name. He has 0 posts, but he's trying to friend almost anybody he can in the DeFi universe. So just be careful, because he's going to send you fake messages, as he's done to a couple of our members of our community already. And we don't want anybody clicking any malicious links, giving away their seed phrases, or doing anything that could put them at risk or others within the family. So let the community be aware that this is a fake Dreamer. Our real Dreamer has the verified blue logo, amongst a couple other things. You can see my tweet, and you can point out all the differences that you can tell between the fake and the real one.
I'm curious if somebody ends up catfishing this person. Like, I even said, like, I wonder, what he or she wants to say and like what they're doing. But yeah, so maybe somebody will, in a fake way, follow their lead a little bit and let us all in on what this person's goal is. But yeah, it's probably just, I get so many fake DMs on Discord, and for a while on Telegram, of people trying to scam and everything. It's unfortunate, but good thing it's really easy to identify for most of us.
Absolutely. Well, Dreamer, for those of you who are living under Vox, reintroduce yourself or introduce yourself for the first time. Who are you and what do you do?
Sure. I am Dreamer. I represent the team that is actively building DeFi Kingdoms. So our company is called Kingdom Studios. It's an onshore Delaware LLC. My official role is I'm the president of that company. So I work with the board. Others on the board are Beetle Dude and Frisky Fox, with Professor Tango as the treasurer. Our main goal is to make sure that all those that are contracted and working on developing the game, managing the community, running our socials, improving our relationships with existing and future partners, they're able to, get paid and be able to take care of their families and potentially not have to do other things out there. So with that comes kind of running a business, and DeFi Kingdoms started more as like a decentralized collective. I'm not the founder of DeFi Kingdoms. I think oftentimes when I join, I guess not community streams, but others, they're like introducing the founder of DFK. I'm like, let it be clear. My role has been very different from the original founders, some of which are no longer involved, but so many people have contributed to DeFi Kingdoms, including all of you here. It's really a product of Kingdom Studios efforts, a little bit of Wisdom Gaming efforts, original people that were involved in the bull market, and those that will come in the future. So that's my role. Background is in gaming traditionally, in banking. Oh, I kind of forgot that I come from banking. And I wasn't a banker. I was actually a risk manager. So my role kind of came out of the financial crisis in 2008. And we grew from a small team to 150 or so in Salt Lake City. And the whole goal was to help avoid future credit defaults on a very large scale that would have big impacts, domino effects across the board. And, I did that job really well. I never thought I'd leave, but I was very close to some of the founders and had the launch party at my house and could not help myself to try to, be involved. And one thing led to another, quit my job, did anything I could to help Frisky. And, as the market shifted from bull to bear, my expertise in kind of managing through risk and organizing committees and helping progress the company part, that's where I kind of became more of an official president of the company. But still, the all-stars are those building it. So I try to be very clear. I represent the team. I am in no way like the big hot shot founder in any means, if that makes sense.
I love it. I respect it. Hey, humble goes a long way, certainly in the finance space. So, we've got some tough, hot questions here. But before we start with those, let's start with some light-hearted ones. Before then, let me introduce the topic here.
Everybody's talking about my tight pants. Got my tight pants. Got my tight pants on. Everybody's looking at my tight pants. Got my tight pants. Got my tight pants on.
What the hell is that?
Yes, tight pants. Dreamer, we've got lots of chats in that happen behind the scenes. And one of them, I can't remember who it was. Someone pointed out, you go, Dreamer's tight pants, bringing tight pants back. And I must say, you look spiffy fighting the bear at here in Florida recently. Tight pants. Between that and New Balance shoes, I like the look. But tell us about those tight pants. People want to know.
Yeah, so I didn't know that we were referring to them as tight pants. I always thought they were skinny jeans, and that sounds a little bit cooler. Also, I didn't know that skinny jeans like went out of style either. Apparently, people are wearing baggy things now. Like, do you remember what were those called in the 90s? The like shorts that went down to your ankles that were really baggy. You know what I'm talking about?
I know
Bell
exactly.
No, there's like a brand name.
Like the Jinko jeans.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Are those coming back too? I don't know. But anyway, so when I worked at Goldman, I would be more like business casual rather than getting like fully dressed up. And then after COVID, jeans were more accepted, and I would kind of wear nicer shoes and skinny jeans and like a blazer. So that look kind of never went away for me, but apparently the rest of the world thinks it's weird. Maybe I should change it up and get some baggy jeans.
I am not fashion forward. If it wasn't for my 2-year-old daughter dressing me in the mornings, I don't know, I'd look worse than I typically do. With that said, let's. So we do have some questions here. Vrav Kupo, I posted these here in the private chat. We can take turns. I think I can go first, Vrav Kupo. And then give Dreamer an opportunity to answer through some of these questions here. Thought-provoking questions. First and foremost, I know a year feels like 10 years in crypto, but as far as top priorities for DFK and Kingdom Studios, I mean, what are your top priorities for the next year?
Yeah, so I think a couple of these questions will ask from like a DFK perspective, some from like a company perspective. So some of them I might answer twice, but I would say for DeFi Kingdoms, we have now PvP or PvE gameplay, right? And I think a lot of people are having fun with it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think when I first started, and I kind of avoided testing. Testing was changing every single day, and we have incredible testers. Not only Winston Jazz Hands, who I believe is on a stream next week, but also Sachet stepped in, and they were just like identifying issues. And I wish people could see how much went into delivering that product, because things take a while. But if anybody noticed, there wasn't a lot of hiccups, and that was our first time building and launching an actual game feature. From the planning, the execution, the design, the testing, it was just incredible. We're a team that hasn't done this before, and this was about a year. This feature was kind of a year in the making, so I was very proud of that launch. So a lot that's coming in terms of priorities over the next year are going to be centered around combat equipment. Where does equipment come from? What do we do in combat? What different things can we fight? Are we going to have lesser battles? Are we going to have additional hunts? How do we incentivize the player? Because in first phase of DeFi Kingdoms, incentivization really came from, staking, having raffles, and things like that. We can still do those, but with the Halloween event, it was kind of cool. We were leading up to Halloween, and thought, hey, should we do another dark summoning event where we just count dark summons and give something away? And I think Bolon was the first to say, guys, these are really manual giveaways. Can we brainstorm something else? And we started thinking of different ideas. And somebody, I believe Second Best Ads, like, hey, why don't we just like add a void touch and a plague touch, summoning gene that's not there, thinking it was impossible. And then, Magnus and Hubert were like, well, let's make it possible. And it turns out to be a great incentivizer. And now, we're having fun dark summoning. It's not even related to combat, right? It's kind of like a new direction that as you bring those heroes into combat, it's going to be a lot of fun. So other things related to it, the systems around your potions that I think we've talked about, bringing your own potions. We all, I think, understand them to be just like healing and mana potions, but I think there's a lot more to that. After that, equipment, how do we get access to equipment like in mass? There's a lot of that coming. And then the whole crafting system, add in travel, and you bring all that together. In the next year, I really hope that we're able to continue to make that vision become more clear with travel, maybe crafting, more classes entering the battle, and then more battles to do. So hard to answer the question specifically because I wish we could do it all, but I think the entire vision, core vision, is still probably multiple years down the road. So we'll have to see which thing we get to first.
No, absolutely. And I love your response. I think what we all take for granted, either, because we just take it for granted. I certainly have. And you mentioned it, Dreamer. These updates have been relatively smooth. I mean, no real hiccups, not any one I've been aware of or the community's been aware of. And to see such game-changing innovations take place with little to no hiccups, that's pretty impressive. And again, I take it for granted. I'm sure others in the community too. Raph, I'll turn it to you. I know as a dev, it's something you sort of, you pull your hair because there's a lot of back and forth. You might see Neindorf doing to try and get some of these things right.
Well, yeah, let's be clear. I don't do any of the hard work on the development side of things. Just the ideas and the marketing, and I get to have fun testing our game. I mean, that's really exciting, and I feel like we're starting to see, kind of a better vision of what DeFi Kingdoms is going to be, and there's a lot of different places or angles that you could go for next. Is there one of those that sticks out to you the most, Dreamer?
It's really, so oftentimes I think a struggle in Web3 and in video games, so when you combine them, it becomes a massive struggle, is like, what's next? What big thing is next? Even a lot of major blockchains, I think, are struggling with this. Who else can we bring in? And some really good advice that across sectors and business lines that people give is to build where you're strong. Build out where you have a proven concept. And right now we've introduced a completely new thing, combat, that has a lot of completely new features linked to it. One of those is equipment, how equipment looks, how it functions, where it comes from. And a lot of our heroes, even after a few weeks, most of them are not fully equipped. So I think a big focus is, rather than jumping to another major feature, like immediately working on travel, for example, would not be wise, because equipment just came out. Who has full sets of heroes where every equipment slot is full and they're happy and ready to go? Probably very few, if not none of us. If we think about how many heroes have been summoned in from the initial 2000 Gen Zeros, that's kind of the world of equipment that's kind of on the verge, right? There's so much that we can do in the game, but there's also a lot of content around that. So want to make sure we get equipment right, want to make sure we get hero classes right. Having only 3 of 22 classes live is fun. It's not fun enough. We want more in there. So if we were to jump to major features before we beefed up all of the utility around equipment, combat, and hunts, I think it would be a misstep. So that's what we're focused on currently. I think expeditions have been talked about to allow the player to have more natural time freed up to do more play like items, and then more, leave a lot of what was clicking around before, to have a more efficient way to do that as a premium feature. That's definitely in focus as well. But when this all comes together in travel, and we haven't clicked that button or started that process yet, I think it's going to be really cool, because everything that you do today, it introduces a new like opportunity cost of choice. Even just fishing, where do I want to fish? Which realm do I want to be in? Which hunt do I want to go on? Oh, as I'm traveling, there's a battle that has come up that I have to defeat to keep going. These kind of things are going to feel much more like you are a commander of a legion, and it's kind of perilous out there. So that, in order to get there, we need combat, we need heroes, we need things to fill in from what we've exposed ourselves to now. This phase is going to be the combat equipment phase. As that fills in, we can prepare to add on top of it.
That's exciting. And, I try not to jump too far ahead in the conversation, but what I love about equipment is it starts to open up tokenomics opportunities, not just playability opportunities. And so it helps support the ecosystem kind of from the ground up, at least how I'm imagining it, because suddenly the things that you're finding are gaining more value based on the playability aspects of the game. So it accomplishes a lot, both for the individual and for the system as a whole.
And something you mentioned, Dreamer, I have to commend the team again. It's one of those things where I think we all recognize that, we would talk about DFK and we would talk about it as a game, and yes, there was gaming functions relevant to DFK before things like PvE. With that said, you had your naysayers, right? But now we can turn to those naysayers and the general public to say, hey, you know what? DFK brings something that looks and feels and is a game. Whether you like it or not, that's a whole different story. But it's tangibly a game. It's something you can call a game. You can play. And I for one was worried that I might not like it. And I love it. I really do. I genuinely love it. Kupo, Kupo, I'll turn it to you. I know you're a huge community sort of personality here, and you've been doing your fair amount of playing games, but I'll let you go ahead and ask your question as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you can probably see me almost every one of the community channels out there. I try to get my name in almost every group and trying to spread awareness, and just where awareness is, I'm just trying to just bring it back and just recycling it, going to YouTube channels and stuff. But yeah, I mean, going back to like the equipment concepts and stuff like that, like you guys are like groundbreaking with a lot of this stuff. Like DFK is like the first to do a lot of stuff, and every time you guys do something new, it's just incredible. The pets were incredible. Now we have equipment, PVEs now on there. I mean, there's just so much going on. It's incredible. But like, what are like your mid and long term goals for DFK and Kingdom Studios?
Sure. So DFK, I think we want to build on the brand of a game. So DeFi Kingdoms is the name of the game. As people come in and they're like, wait, this is a game, but what is DeFi? When they learn what it is and they play the game, they're going to also be learning about Web3 and crypto. DeFi has been the foundation of an MMORPG economy. And, we've been very careful to not disrupt that economy. And every time we do something new, the tokenomics committee spends hours a week talking about what may or may not impact certain supply, demand, and not do anything that's kind of like playing God, overly disruptive. There's a lot of other games out there that they can just mint at free will and do kind of whatever they want with their assets. We don't. It's not that we can't. We really don't. And a lot of the code has been put in place so that we can't. It's really hard to manipulate things. So I think that's very important for DFK, and the mid and long term goals is to have an economy that feels like a real economy, so that somebody comes in, the hook is the game. They get in, they say, okay, what do I want to do here? Do I want to just play? Oh, wow, I can play to earn. This concept existed in World of Warcraft. People would come and be like, I don't like the game, but I'll do this loop and sell off these pieces because people pay for it. Maybe people convert to play to earners. Maybe people will get sucked into the the DeFi aspect, and they'll hop in the bazaar and look at the spreads and look at how much it is to make a potion versus buy a potion and flip it. Look at the cost of gold and the vendor. We want to continue to develop these different type of participants, but the main hook has to be the game. If people come in and they say this is gamified DeFi, they will contribute, but I don't know if they will contribute to the long-term vision. If they come in and they say, I'll be a trader or I'll be a play to earner to support the gamers, we want them, because the gamers are who we want to be driving that experience, competing in PvP, chain versus chain, guild versus guild, hitting the leaderboards. All of the play to earners and everybody else, they're going to support that economy. But I think that long-term vision, when people look us up and see the game, they see, wow, turn-based, nostalgic, traditional, RPG experience. I want in. Wow, it's fully loaded with Web3 and has all native DeFi built in, so it's made just for us. I'm in. We're a long way to get to that point where it's that obvious, but our community, our Discord, as you come in and you spend the time to learn, I think a lot of people get there. The mid and long-term goal shouldn't be as hard to get there. It should be more clear what things are. The game hook should be stronger, and we should be making crypto enthusiasts out of gamers rather than the other way around. For Kingdom Studios, I think the goal is really profitability as a business, right? The game has been revenue generating since day one. However, with the Harmony hack and with a lot of other things that led really before the establishment of the company, our goal is to retain talent, retain developers, make sure that we continue to retain and build our community in a bear market, which is really hard, and get to the point where the company itself can grow. We want to be able to grow. We want to be able to hire more artists. We want to be able to do more things with, adventures in DFK and builders in the community. We want to be able to, people are saying DFK Con 2030. We want to be able to get there, hopefully way before 2030. We want to be able to host parties at events and do all of that. Right now, we are allocating 99.9% of our resources to building. So the mid and long-term goals of Kingdom Studios is to become a profitable company that can grow DeFi Kingdoms, grow other products like Mythic Swap, which is meant to target other non-gamers in the space, while also targeting other games as well. That could be an on-ramp into DFK. I don't think people have made that connection yet. And maybe some other things that we do around education or mass adoption. So a lot of big plans for Kingdom Studios. Step one is continue to build, continue to survive, not only make it to the bull market, but hopefully be in a position to explode during the bull market, which then funds every other aspect of that larger dream.
You bring up you bring up bear, you bring up bull. I've got a question regarding the bear versus the bull market. What's gonna distinguish the winners from the losers?
You like tacos, right? Tacos, tacos, tacos. Venice Beach tacos.
Well, the answer may not be tacos, but let me ask you the question. From a business development strategy standpoint, I mean, how does your role change between, where we're at now, the bear versus the potential inevitable bull? We've all seen Bitcoin rally, and some of us are excited, like, oh, it's the end of the bear. Yeah, probably not. But inevitably, we can say this much: we're one day closer to a bull market today than we were yesterday. How do things change for you, Dreamer? I mean, from your perspective within your role, business development, how do things switch up?
At least from the biz dev part, that's one thing that has been consistent for me over the last 2 years. When I first came on, I worked really closely with Flu, and Flu was a great mentor at that point in time. My exposure to crypto was really limited to kind of the traditional finance world, and they're dabbling very lightly with Bitcoin futures and like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and a few other things. I had a lot to learn, and I did a lot of studying leading into it. He helped a ton, but biz dev efforts in that market were very different because everybody had money. They just didn't know where to put it. Everybody was excited. They just want to hit the next 10x, 100x thing because they've done it once or twice before. So very much like a microwave generation, short term, gimme, let's make it happen now mindset for everybody involved. This wasn't one person. It was just the crypto world. DeFi Summer, was successful. And as you talk with people, It was all about what they wanted from you, essentially. And I think people were pretty careful about which direction they went. And when they went a direction, it was more like what made them the most money. Now in a bear market, I feel like when you enter a biz dev conversation, people all got burned by that mindset in one way or another. Short term, not looking at quality, being distracted with prices. And what's left, especially now, are those that either have entered the space in the bear market and really want to build something to be a part of greatness in the next bull, or survive the bear market, haven't given up, and want to find other like-minded people to work hard. So from a biz dev perspective, making relationships is much more enjoyable in the bear market. Getting things done is a lot harder in the bear market because you don't have the money that you can throw at people. You don't have a lot of those carrots. The carrots you have are not going to pay out or have a good ROI for maybe years. So convincing people of that partnership and making decisions where resources are so limited is an art. And I think we've been doing our best every step of the way. And every step we take, there's an event that happens, like the Clayton decision, I think was a really good decision in the time. And then, FTX happened and Korea adjusted their regulatory stance. They had to completely reorganize and removed from their ownership company and almost like a whole new team. Man, we didn't anticipate any of that. There's no way we could have. We're there for a long-term, user acquisition in that part of the world, which is still a good strategy, but it slowed down our momentum. We're picking it back up. But that was something that seemed like a good deal. It was good from the partnership side, not competing with Avalanche side directly, user acquisition potential, and the money side. And yet we were still hit by something that had nothing to do with Clayton or us. But that's kind of a weekly occurrence in the space. And I think the team has gotten really resilient and good at looking around corners. And when we're wrong or see something that we didn't expect, we've gotten better at recovering and reacting in a timely manner and in kind of a targeted manner.
And I have to commend you for that. And I like showing this picture, not because it's one of the only 5 pictures I took at 3XP, but because I think it's a good picture. Not every project makes it. And the sheer fact, less than 50% of games are playable today. You guys are playable now. There are a bunch of games, but not everyone makes it. And the sheer fact that we're still here as a project, when the bear ends, we're not sure, right? But in the depths of the bear, and you guys are, not just surviving, but in many respects thriving, at least in the sense of development and sort of what you're all doing and the momentum you all have going. Super commendable. Yet again, something that maybe goes underappreciated. So thank you very much. Raf, any thoughts, comments to add there before the next question you can ask?
Let's roll to the next one. I'll go to competition with other DeFi projects. What do you feel, sets DeFi kingdoms apart? I mean, I sometimes it's hard for me to see the forest through the trees because I'm a bit of a DeFi maxi. You've had boots on the ground, so to speak, in conferences and looking at other things. So what do you feel like, and then maybe from your risk management background, what's our competitive advantage?
Yeah. I'd say the first year we were definitely categorized as a DeFi project. This year, the goal by the end of the year was to be categorized as a very clear Web3 game. DeFi is a huge piece of the foundation that the game is built upon, because a lot of these guys that come out with Web3 connected games, they haven't solved for every piece of it. They have to rely on other NFT marketplaces or AMMs and just to provide an experience for their players. So they're kind of half in. We're all in on Web3. So we started out on the DeFi side and gamifying DeFi, making it easier to understand. And that was a appeal to a great audience, right? We're continuing to do that and trying to make it easier to bridge, easier to trade, and even level up that overall experience. But if you look at other DeFi protocols out there, and this isn't meant to be talking negative about a lot of them, because I think there are some really good innovators, but for the most part, I don't know what the percentage is, but some large percentage of DeFi projects are a copy and paste of another one. And maybe they tweak the branding or maybe change the innovation a little bit. And DeFi kingdoms, I would say, if you were to look at the first year, what we did differently was to make it relatable, to make it fun, to gamify the experience, add progression, add a little bit of fantasy to it. If you look at it today, if you ask me, how are we different from other projects? We're not a DeFi project anymore. We've leveled up. Our DeFi aspect of it is the foundation. It'll always be there, and it's what allows the economy to exist. Now with that economy, we're going to build an incredible game. Others are going to come and build on top of it, like Adventures in DFK and hopefully others. And that economy is going to sustain things that we can't even think of right now. It's kind of like in Ready Player One, thinking about the foundation that allows them to hop in and jump between worlds so seamlessly and change, their coin back and forth and get their weapons. You needed all of that before you even made any of those games. So we're different from other DeFi projects because I think our scope extends past just allowing seamless trading. That was a prerequisite to our next phase, where that's for the most part, complete. And now that allows us to unlock being identified and defined as a Web3 game.
No, brilliant. Kupo, anything to add?
No, I mean, that was just brilliant, honestly, how you just explained the whole concept. It was like you're saying, like how like DeFi Kingdoms is like evolved beyond the standard like DeFi status, but that's where its roots were and stuff like that, which was beautiful, which actually kind of leads us towards one of our other questions we have prepared here. What are your thoughts on the future of DeFi as a whole?
I don't know why I keep on muting and unmuting in between everything. I don't know if you guys can hear me, if you can hear my AC. But yeah, so DeFi as a whole, we did a presentation at Cypherpunk where we announced Mythic Swap. And, my background, I'm really passionate about finance, but I spent a decade working for probably one of the most centralized organizations in banking. And I really liked the vision of blockchain. Am I a cryptocurrency enthusiast? I don't know if I've ever really been into like coin picking and everything and shilling, but man, am I passionate about what blockchain can do for people around the world, to break down barriers, barriers between like earning levels and a lot of other things within banking and opportunities that a lot of people just don't have. The initial dream of DeFi was beautiful, but hasn't really evolved a lot. We need things to enter the space that improve the experience, break down barriers and barriers to entry, and also bring in traditional traders. If DeFi never attracts people that have already been converted to the traditional finance world, and we're only going to always cater to people that have never traded a day in their life prior to, I feel like our growth is really limited. If you look at DeFi now, though, regulation is kind of the enemy, it feels like. And so far, Uniswap and AMMs in general have dodged the definition of an exchange. I worry, but I'm also looking forward to more evolution there, because in the next 3 to 6 months, the word on the street is that definition is getting an update, and AMMs might all be included. If AMMs are all deemed exchanges, what does that do to DeFi? Or if clubs are out there are all considered exchanges, what does that do? Well, just a side note, we're designing Mythic Swap to hopefully get around all that, to be maybe one of the few things out there that no longer, with the update or as of the update, doesn't fit into that exchange definition, and we can continue to carry on. But DeFi needs to evolve a lot. I think that paying people to stake liquidity that doesn't result in a good trading experience. A lot of people get burned on slippage, on impermanent loss, having to relaunch on each chain and start all over with your liquidity, not having pools that are like tradable across chain. There's a lot of technology coming out that's making that more possible, where messaging systems could maybe look at a trade on chain A, fill it on chain B, and have it be a little more seamless and affordable. I don't think we're there yet, but trading tools, eliminating a lot of the, Ponzi-nomics of launching an AMM and just staking for a reward just cause, and then hopefully prices don't move more than your reward. Man, we can only get so far with that. People have to like trading in DeFi more than on Coinbase. And once we get there, I think a lot of regulation will actually believe in it a little bit more, because it won't just feel so limited.
I've been liking our questions, but let's get to some spicy questions here.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
All right, Dreamer. This one's a Raf question. Kudos to Raf. Take us into your last tokenomics meeting, peer behind the curtain, if you will. What was the highest priority agenda item? Let's see if we can dig out some alpha here.
Okay. Actually, this is one that I didn't look up. Okay, I'm gonna do this live. I'm not screen sharing or anything, right? I'm not gonna do
No,
anything.
no, but I wish you were.
Definitely not.
All right. So I don't know how like clear it is how many committees that we have, but I was talking to somebody recently and they were just like, so you're the guy that can make all the decisions. I'm like, no, not at all. And I think some people see that a little frustrating and see it as a negative. I'm one of the guys that has organized a series of committees that have people, hopefully, depending on the topic, much smarter than myself to come together and get to the best decision. Sometimes that can move slower, but I think we get there a lot better, a lot quicker, and we avoid a lot of mistakes as well. So tokenomics committee is one of many committees. We have a marketing committee. We have a kingdom builders committee. We have a new business group as well that meets, and a game committee. All of these, there's not one person that makes every decision. Not me, not Fox, not Hubert, not Beetle. It's at least 5 people. There are many votes that are documented on each thing. So one of those is tokenomics committee, for anybody that's listening that didn't really know what that meant. Let's see, on the agenda, I'm not going to read everything off, but I will say, oh man, I can't talk about that. The second biggest thing was the guys tiers proposal. So that we talked about that in the AMA. So with the tiers update, a lot of people are playing and you have this huge drop potential to get, a bow or other awesome pieces of equipment, or one tier, like 1 to 20 tiers, I think it was. And man, it was a fun game to play. And then when you beat it and you just get 1 tier, it just kind of felt bad. But the goal was to get combat out, get feedback, and then apply that feedback. I think it was very smart with Hubert and the rest of the game committee to do it this way. The focus was on the game. The focus was not to pay you to go play it. And as a result, we had a lot of games played, got a lot of feedback, and updated it. One of those pieces to update was, okay, let's increase the tier drop rate, since we will be going to bring your own potion, and you need tiers for those potions. And we got to the point of saying that I think the jackpot was going to be like 40 or something. And so we did a discussion on how exciting it is to have a larger number drop. So we got to the point of 100. And for that refund, I guess the average differential before and after, or I guess your average tier drop before and after the change was going to be somewhere in the range of 5. So we're like, okay, we can look at all the completed hunts and reward people 5. Let's vote on that. Boom, boom, boom. It passed. Then somebody raised their hand. They're like, hey, what if we double it and reward them 10? Because they're supporting an early feature. And we talked about that, pros and cons, made sure it wouldn't be disruptive to the economy and the overall supply, voted on that, and came out and said, we're doubling that reward and are going to be essentially airdropping 10 per win. That should feel a lot better than the 1 through 20 that people had.
I very impressed by what you all have been doing. Hot take, you don't have to respond to it, but it makes me think about how in many ways, one of the most let's say interesting, one of the most interesting things that could have happened at DFK was that Harmony hack. A lot of development and changes came out of that, and I think we'll look 5, 10, 20, we'll look into the future years, right? And sort of reflect back on sort of that being a pivot point for not just the project and Jewel, but for us as DFK players. So kudos to the tokenomics committee, those other committees as well. They don't get as much love. All I hear is, hey, tokenomics. I know, and I'm sure you guys have other committees. But I don't know. I guess I care more about that committee for some reason. Who knows why? I'm not sure. Raph, great question. I'm sure you've got others. Take it away.
Yeah, so you led into it a little bit with the discussion on potions. Do you see the tiers as kind of a balance? Just doing some kind of rough math right now, it costs about you know, a quarter of a jewel for a potion. And so, if you're like me, very unskilled amateur, you need those 3 potions to be in a boar hunt for sure. So it almost doubles the cost of, going on a boar hunt. Is that kind of the forward future thinking of, uh, increasing the drop rate on tiers to counteract that? Or, how do you think about, or has the tokenomics committee thought about, how do you keep the players engaged with the increasing costs coming our way? And don't get me wrong, I think it's the right thing to do. In fact, it ultimately will solve bigger and more important problems by making sure that it's, developing the total in-game economy. But I'm just kind of wondering how you guys thought about that.
Sure. So we think about and talk about this, and we try to make sure that we kind of draw a line in the sand on what we are messing with and what we are not. We try really hard not to mess with the natural economy. We're creating a game where the players discover price, where the players identify what things essentially cost, and where they go from there. As you do hunts currently, you don't have to bring potions, and some people may be beating it without them. For me, I use the mana potions every single time because I got double archers, and I'm burning through those, man. I don't think I could have beat one without at least one potion, right? But then it begs the question, should you keep doing what you're doing and spend your money on bringing a little bit more potions? Is it more expensive to buy them, or should I be building out my own kind of farming group, my own legion, to get me the ingredients so I can craft my own potions maybe more affordably? Or should I be spending money and buying somebody else's equipment so I can beat these without so much difficulty, or buy a bunch of stamina potions and level them up? We're not going to control your choices. If you just narrow in and say it cost X, now it's going to cost Y, that difference, will it be enough to keep playing? Most players, because it's not just the 50 cents to play, if not put in another quarter, now it's 75. There's so many other things that result in price. We do not hyper focus on manipulating price. We want to make sure the experience is balanced and great for all involved. So if I look at the hunt and I say, from your perspective, if you ignore everything I just said and you're like, okay, I don't want to get more heroes, I don't want to spend money on equipment, I want to keep doing what I'm doing, and now it's more expensive, am I still motivated? Well, it's up to us to make sure you are. And I think that what we see now with hunts is very minimal compared to the long-term potential. I can't blow some of the surprises that Hubert has cooking up and the rest of the game committee. But I will say it's our job to make sure that you feel like the progression is worth what you're putting into it. And if we are ever misaligned, our weekly meeting is what informs us of that. And we adjust, just like we very quickly identified, all right, people like the game, rewards aren't enough. Let's beef up rewards. Tiers, check, did that. Cooldown, I think we adjusted that. We've already, I think they've made a couple dozen of other enhancements already. Now, how do we motivate people? Well, you're getting those void shards. That's kind of a grinding thing that happens at a lower drop rate. What is the other piece that's missing? I think you can probably fill it in if you know a lot of end game content where you're hitting a dungeon. There should be something that incentivizes you to do it each day and week that unlocks things that you wouldn't have had access to. So as long as more content is coming to make what you're doing today more worth it than it was the prior day, the fluctuations in some cost will solve themselves. But having you bring potions isn't just to manipulate people to spend more. It's to make the game more enjoyable. There are more than 2 potions. I hope that people realize that. The potions are not just to heal yourself and get mana. They are so that the game committee can make harder enemies. So now that you have more levers to choose from when you're in game, so that it's more strategic. When we move into PvP, there's going to be so many different ways to fight and play. Bring your own potions is not about, okay, that was free, now no, pay up, use your things. It's more unlocking an additional level of strategy in the gameplay.
No, I love that. It's such I think of, I know many of us have asked and called for utility of our NFTs, and we've all seen these potions and different variety of bloaters, ragweed, etc. Right, and you think when utility, and we're finally seeing it. We have it here, ladies and gentlemen. It's here, and I mean it's only going to get better and more exciting from here on out. Kupo, have you been hoarding potions here, or what are you doing? What you got?
Yeah, BYOP. Bring your own potion. You could just coin that. Yeah, I mean the potion thing is exactly what Dreamer said. I'm actually very excited to see what this team has in regards to like potential future potions. We know that they got the like a couple potions you can go to the alchemist to make right now, and it's like, ooh, what are the full potential of these guys? But I mean, I really feel that this team is just giving us the tip of the iceberg here, and as like more stuff comes out, we're gonna probably start seeing things that we didn't even like perceive originally. So I'm actually quite thrilled about that whole potion concept. Like, I always use the potions. Like, I'm usually using all three of them in one shot. I think maybe twice I managed to get away with just two, and that's only because like Mama Boar missed the big charge on me or something like that. But no, this has been fantastic. I am going to go just slightly off script because I see Dreamer actually has been like participating with like the void hunts also, and I've been trying to take like the wowie routes and just trying to do like a couple of the things he's done, like Knight, 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 or Priest, Archer, Archer. Is there a particular setup that you like, or have you been going like the traditional, like one Knight, one Archer, one Priest type of thing? Or, I mean, I'd like
Yeah,
to hear if you've had any like experience, like fights that you thought were like, this is my big game, this is my wow.
yeah. I started with the Holy Trinity, and my knight just couldn't hit taunt. It was a miss after miss. I was just like, I don't know which stat I suck at with this, but this isn't getting the job done. I can't drop these guys fast enough. My archer sometimes it isn't on the right order of abilities to really drop the I guess baby boars is what I call them, baby and mama. So then I went to archer, priest, archer, and this was a lot easier because I put the priest up front, and then I realized when the priest gets taunted, he or she can no longer heal, and that sucks when that happens. So then I put the priest in the middle, and that was kind of the middle ground. My biggest hitting archers in the back, priest in the middle, my archer fodders in the front. And sometimes I sacrifice that one if I'm getting close, I'll drop a baby boar, and the mama will rage, and it'll just kill my front archer that maybe used up all his mana. So that works really well. I think for my win rate there was probably around 50, 60%. But then last night, equipment came like sellable. And I was looking at them like, look how expensive all these are. And then I bought a bunch, and then I equipped them myself. And then I went and I did what did I do? I did something new. Oh, I did a archer priest, and I just gunned down the mama. And I was just like, I'm just gonna go. Got her down, and it was a lot easier after that. Then I threw in the knight back in the mix once the knight had his weapon, and was hitting more taunts and was doing great. And I'm just like, this is what I'm talking about when you can make decisions. Do I want to go in with no equipment and use up all my potions, and now it's expensive because I got to bring potions? Or do I figure out other ways to be more strategic or to level up and use my resources how I want as the player? Yeah, people could come in with underleveled guys and use up a bunch of potions, or they could get super equipped and go in and start doing runs where they can drop these more easily. If you notice, the priest weapon has a really cool ability on there, like 25% chance to daze on an enemy that is channeling. You hit that mama boar with the basic attack from the priest, you could, and you're trying it at the same time with your knight, it could make it a lot easier. So that's been my evolution of it so far. Started with the Trinity, didn't really do much. Double Archer was getting it done, at least sometimes. And I feel like now that weapons, equipment have come out, I haven't gotten a single drop, but I did buy other people's drops. And I'm happy that part of DeFi is fueling DFK because it makes my experience better. I didn't buy it from Kingdom Studios. I bought it from somebody else. And that's what makes this so cool.
No, that's fantastic. Honestly, just your explanation. I love how like we get so many big brains with their ideas and their concept and how they're looking at this. Like we got to look at this. Like Void Hunt is such a small aspect of what the DeFi Kingdoms world has to bring to us. Yet look how much it's brought us together. Look how much we talk about it and just express ourselves and get so passionate over just this one aspect. And there's just so much more to come. So I greatly appreciate you sharing your little strategy and where you've evolved from that and where you've gone with it. I mean, there's just so much potential here. And I'm just looking forward to the next steps.
I am super thrilled, Dreamer, to have heard you say all that. I've been watching a lot of Undercover Boss TikToks, right? And there's a difference between the owner who's the owner of Subway, and the Subway owner who's they're making sandwiches and can talk about sort of like, hey, that experience and reflect on it. The fact that you can sort of not just talk about DFK, but sort of related in the way you did, where, hey, I've played it, I tried XYZ, it didn't work, I tried this, I bought that. Yeah. And to see you legitimately excited and sharing that information, it means a lot. I'm not a VC, right? But if you're talking to me as a content creator or a gamer in general, right, I can sort of relate to what you're saying, and it gets me excited. I'm thrilled to sort of say, hey, you know what, let me give this a shot, this sounds interesting. Raf, it sounded like it looked like you were going to make a comment in regards to what Dreamer was saying. Anything to add there?
Are you the one who bought the bow for $160? There was someone was watching that in our guild chat, and that I can't remember what the crystal amount was, but it ended up being $160. And it's been pretty exciting.
Like
A lot of our
10,000.
guild, a lot of our guild members have been selling equipment. I have not personally had the opportunity to get one in a drop yet. I did win a amulet on the level up challenge, which was awesome. I will not be selling that. Oh, sorry, my house alarm arms at this time every night, so I should go on mute now.
And clear your house. Is somebody entering?
No, it's just this incredibly annoying alarm that at 11:30 my time.
No, Dreamer. So it sounds like you bought something for a pretty price, right?
Yeah, I mean it's over on my other computer, but I bought 2 of the blades and 1 bow and a staff.
Nice. I love it.
I was like, I only had 1 team that I could beat them. Like,
Let's go.
this one now I have 3 teams because I like spaced those out, and man, it makes a huge difference. But that's what I'm saying. And this is only like 3 weapons and like other 2 drops. Everything, whether it's potions or additional weapons, lower level, higher level, different ways to get it, different ways to grind, new enemies. We're just scratching the surface here, and I think the trust in the team is so appreciated, especially to give us the time to do this right. Because, man, throughout the year when I've seen things come back, as we in the initial phase, we're relying a little bit more, or I guess a lot more, on the wisdom guys. There were some things on the design side that Workhorse and a few others really great, good synergies with Hubert. Then on the production side, we could have put out a game earlier, and I don't think people would have been happy. And that's where we needed to take a step back and say, what's working, what isn't. Let's make adjustments. Let's bring all production in-house. We have to take a couple months to redo some things. Unfortunate. However, we're watching along the way and know exactly what we want to do and not do. Man, Beetle Dude has just impressed, hopefully, everybody involved, because a lot of that rework was being done by a large team of developers, and he's pretty much taken it all on himself. Animation from Second Best Dad and Magnus, like being a wizard and figuring out new ways to do things. Hubert making sure it all makes sense and has that long-term mechanics vision, and the design with him and Workhorse. It took a long time, but in reality, most games take way more time than all of us realize, and they're not built with a bootstrap team in a bear market with very limited funding. So I'm so incredibly proud of what we have, but even then, it's like a fraction of a % of what the game experience will and should be.
No, and I want to be mindful of time too. I don't want to ignore a question that was asked in the chat, and I think I'll answer it on your behalf unless you want to add more to it, Dreamer. It's a question about plans to adding additional hunts, rider hunts soon, quote unquote. I know we were talking a bit behind the scenes before we got started. I know the team's hard at work, and you're all developing and sort of working away. The current iteration of Boars is a teaser, I'm sure, for what's to come, and sort of, in many respects, although not in a beta, because it's we're there, we're playing it. It's a building block for what could be, and sort of what where our imagination takes us. Who knows? But maybe we can end with this question. You've done a lot of traveling. This was a Kupo question. You've done a lot of traveling recently. Are there any particular takeaway moments that you can recall, which made me feel, which stand out to you, and sort of maybe helped you to reflect on any particular things? Anything you want to call out? I know you've been doing a lot of traveling, a lot of business traveling. Something to reflect on, Dreamer.
Yeah, so this question, I think you gave me a chance to think about before joining, and I was thinking about a lot of things. I think recent travels included Singapore, where I used to live, Token 2049, which I think is probably one of the. Oh no, I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna go. Okay, cool. I didn't want people to see that and have screenshots and memes and all the things. And then in Singapore, there was the crypto gem party that Brian and Jet put on. Then went to Miami for the Cypherpunk event as well, which is really cool. And I think Cryptos RS was one of the main sponsors there. That's where we announced George as our first official advisor in Kingdom Studios. We did a big presentation. We met a lot of people in the community as well. And, when I think of all that, what was a theme that was kind of a highlight was, if you think from a mind of a coder, especially one that's coding a game or a financial platform that could change people's lives, to them, it's all just code. And when they get the chance to see people playing their game or trading or hear testimonies of how it changed their life in person, it changes it for them. And I realized more so in recent events how important people are. Brian is one of the most, I think, genuine people in the space that I've met. George as well, and both of them have success in different ways. But one thing they have in common is they're focused on you, not the project, not the tokens, not all of this. They won't work with somebody, is my opinion, unless they know and trust that person. People in the community see that as well. Crypto Grady is one that when you meet with him, he's fully engaged, and he's engaging you at 100%, 100 miles an hour, because that's the most important thing. Wandering Ogre, driving halfway across the country to pick up people along the way, show up. He's there to not only be a part of it and to lift himself. He wants every single person with him to be lifted. Everybody's focused on people. It's not game, it's not tokens, it's not prices, it's not 100x or 10x. It's the people. And I think that was one of the biggest thematic takeaways from recent travels was the big party I'd go to with Brian and Jet. It was the people in attendance and the conversations that you had, not the connections that could get you to the next level or this and that. It was what you talked about. It's how you opened up, the struggles that you have, the ideas. With George as well, he was very adamant about hanging out outside of the event, as was Crypto Grady, as was Loudmouth and a lot of other people there. We had a great time. And back in my mind, Goldman Abrams, you don't have to go out at night and everything. You don't want people to see you a little bit inebriated and things. It'll question your professionalism. But in reality, with a certain group of people, they want to know the true you. They want to have a hard conversations. They want to argue sometimes. They want to test things. They want to have fun. They want to high five. They don't want to see the show. They want to see the person behind it. Mm-hmm. So that was a really good takeaway. I think that a lot of people do that really well. I've struggled with that throughout, I think, my career, separating personal Abram and professional Abram. And in this role, in this space, with our community and our product, that is an area of growth that I've been working on.
That is super awesome. You mentioned Grady. Hearing you talk without Grady feels different. So, let's bring Grady in.
Oh, we got Dreamer, baby.
There you go. We've got a Dreamer baby from Grady. Thank you very much for your time, Dreamer. We've got a couple of giveaways. I saw Icy here in the chat. As promised, we'll be doing a few giveaways. Let's go ahead and start with the Shrapnel light pack giveaway. Let me go ahead and share here real quick. We'll do this quick here. Let's see. Bear with me. Nothing like doing these. There we go. Live. All right. There's 15 entries. If you've made a comment here in the on chat, there's you've been entered into the raffle. We're spinning here. We'll replay if it's one of us here. Jewelers, you've won a shrapnel light pack. Let's. I'll connect with you. I've got you on Discord. Let's chat. Pretty awesome. I'll be connecting you with IC. Raph, you've got an awesome giveaway here. I was participating. You had an event recently. I won something. And I totally forgot about it because I took a break for a minute. And lo and behold, Raph reminded me about my win. We'll go ahead and draw that here. And Raph, you can let us know what the winners take.
Gen 1, 10 out of 10.
Oh, look at that. So, Gen 1, 10 of 10. Congrats. I think that takes care of our giveaways. Dreamer, any takeaways, any takeaway comments you'd like to add before we conclude here?
No, I think I just want to say thank you for having me on. The bear market doesn't feel as much like a bear market when the team builds things, but also when the community enjoys them. And I think that support is huge. I already did a couple shout outs with Grady, Wandering Ogre, and others. There are other people that I met too. I met Wowie in person as well. That was really cool. Zealous, who's building a lot in the background and trying to find that balance between kind of vision and what players need. And he does, he DMs me all the time with some great comments and good suggestions. We can't take everybody's suggestion, but the passion, the respect, the dedication is incredible. So Sergeant, doing your streams and connecting people, the positivity, but the professionalism that you do it with is so greatly appreciated. Thank you for having me on. Koopa is hardcore, and I feel like you'll always be hardcore. I hope that you stay hardcore. And Raph, man, Adventures in DFK, you guys have put out a lot of awesome things, and we appreciate you. We can't always do what everybody might personally think or want, even within the team. I'll have to tell you, I propose a lot. Probably 80 or 90% of it does not get far without it being changed by other people's opinions. And that's how we want it. We want final products to be vetted. We want that from the community side, internally, and going forward. So just a big thank you to all you guys for playing, for supporting, for being active on Twitter, being active in Discord, welcoming people with open arms, those that leave, treating them with respect, and hopefully they come back, and just believing in that long-term vision. Because behind the scenes, every single person that's coding, creating art, animating, marketing, there's a tremendous amount of sacrifice right now. A lot of people in terms of like money or providing for families and things, a lot of people could be doing it for a lot more elsewhere, but people are here and staying here because we all believe in it. And we want to make that continue to grow, and succeed. We can't do that without a lot of support from you guys. And so just wanted to express that gratitude on behalf of the team that I'm representing.
No, of course. Small but mighty is sort of my takeaway. You guys are awesome. Thank you. And we're here to grow together is what it comes down to. On behalf of myself, Kupo, Raph, thank you all very much. We'll catch you next time. And until then, stay curious. I think that's someone's thing. I don't know, but I'm stealing it. Stay curious.